A very pleasant good afternoon. Welcome, welcome one and all to the Rush. We want to say thank you very much for those persons joining us. Let's get into it. Let's unpack, folks. Let us unpack. Let us unpack this afternoon. Welcome. Folks who are joining us on YouTube, let us just say welcome. We're trying to sort out our Facebook broadcast right now. Let me see if I can get some help to sort that out. We seem not to be on Facebook, but we're trying to fix that problem right now. So, yeah, so we're trying to sort out the Facebook broadcast. We're not on Facebook at the moment, so we're trying to get that sorted. Just hold with us, bear with us, but we're going to have the show this afternoon. We're going to be coming to you. We're going to be coming to you live, of course, from Georgetown. It's a rainy day in Georgetown, and we want to be able to bring it. Unpack the information to you. Lots happening in the news, but we are not on Facebook at the moment, so we are trying to fix that. So just bear with us for a few moments. Bear with us for a few moments as we get this sorted, folks. Do bear with us. We apologize. And I think we are ready to go now. Yes, we are live. We are live on Facebook. We are live on Facebook for those persons who are joining us. Thank you very much for joining us. Let us bring it back from the top. My name is Randolph Critchell. Welcome to those persons who are joining us on Facebook and on YouTube. Let's unpack, folks. Welcome, 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 Guyana. Welcome to the world. Welcome to everyone joining us this afternoon. My name is Randolph Critchlow. I want to say thank you very much to those persons joining us internationally in the region and right here in Guyana. It is Monday, the 31st. It is 31st of May, and 2021, and we are here live on the Rush. Let us unpack, folks. Many things happening, and we're going to be talking with the leader of the opposition this afternoon. We're also going to be speaking with the mayor of Georgetown as Guyana continues to be underwater. We had some interesting revelations today from Mr. Slow of the Police Service Commission about undue pressure from the president to influence the selection and the promotion of senior officers. We're going to talk with the leader of the opposition about that in just a few minutes. He's going to be calling into our program. And of course, we're going to be talking about the situation at GWI, where a number of employees have been fired. Today is their last day on the job. We continue to watch that. Folks, it has been 302 days now since this fraudulent administration would have been installed in our country, and we continue to deal with the ramifications of having this fraudulent, installed, illegitimate regime running our country and managing the affairs of this country. But we are going to unpack today. But before we do that, let us, of course, welcome all of you joining us from all over the world. Like we like to do it here on The Rush, We want to know where you're joining us from this afternoon. So drop a comment. Let us know where you're joining us from. We're always happy to shout you out in the comments. Let us know before we get unpacking today. It's going to be interesting. It is going to be interesting, folks. Let us know where you're joining us from this afternoon. Again, we'll be joined by the leader of the opposition in just a few moments. At about 5:45, the leader of the opposition will be here, and we'll be talking about a number of issues, especially this bombshell revelation by Mr. Paul Slow, who had a press conference today, and he revealed some shocking information, and we're going to be unpacking that. New Jersey in the house, Massachusetts, Holland, Brooklyn. Thank you very much, Atlanta. You guys are having it out with New York there. Of course, we're talking NBA to folks who are normally joining us early in the early part of the show. You know, I like to pushing my NBA talk when I see some of these states and cities people saying they're viewing from them. So thank you very much for viewing. Of course, share the live stream. Those persons who on Facebook, share. Give the page a like so you can know when we are on, and you'll have a notification pop up on your phone saying we are live. South Carolina, North Carolina. Thank you very much, Johnny from Washington, Providence, Trinidad and Tobago, New York. Antigua is in the house. All of our Guyanese folks over there, St. Lucia, Dartmouth, Essequibo, Brooklyn, New York, Trinidad in the house. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Yes, it's Memorial Weekend over there in the United States of America. Thank you very much for reminding me that. So those persons who are joining us from the United States of America, happy Memorial Day to you. We hope that you celebrate in the right place. Stay safe. New York, Maryland, Virginia, Georgia, right, Rotherham. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining the show this afternoon. And we are going to be on for an hour. So, and of course, we'll be joined after, join Miss Natasha, the Honorable Natasha Singh-Lewis for her program, Building Bridges. Folks, let us unpack. Let us get right into our news this afternoon. It is with a heavy heart that I start this program with such sad news. And again, thank you very much to those persons who are joining us. Share the live stream for us. It is with a heavy heart that I start this afternoon with such sad and tragic news. Our friend from the media fraternity, Mr. Mondale Smith, would have passed today. Very sad, and our condolences to him and his family. The leader of the opposition would have sent out, of course, condolences to his friends and families and of course those members of the media fraternity, journalists here in Guyana. So we want to say, our condolences, our thoughts and prayers are with his family and friends, and we continue to pray for him. It's tragic. He was admitted to the COVID-19 ICU last week, and he died of varying complications, and this was confirmed by Minister of Health, Anthony. So very, very sad day, very, very tragic day here. We it's quite sad. He was a friend of mine. I worked with him when I worked at the ministry. We did a number of calypso competitions together. He was always a very, very astute MC at those calypso competitions when I was one of the judges. So a very jovial person, someone who always was the life of wherever he was. So anybody can tell you that. So it is a very sad day here as we start the program on this somber note. And we hope that his family and friends stay strong in this moment of grief. Mondale Smith, famed journalist and MC over here in Guyana, passing today. Folks, COVID-19 is real. It is real, and we cannot overstate the importance of getting vaccinated and staying safe and doing the things that you need to do to protect yourself and your family, as we see another Guyanese passing to this COVID-19 virus. As of yesterday, we were at a death toll of 385 Guyanese. You know, this is 385 too many. These are persons who could have been contributing to the development of our country, and sadly they are gone now, including our friend Mondale Smith, jovial, fun-loving Mondale Smith, like everybody knew him. It is really, really a sad day here, folks. And you know, we say to you, get vaccinated, do the right thing, ensure that you are protecting yourself and your family from this dreaded virus. It is no joke. We cannot overstate the fact that it is no joke. Right, folks, let us move on to the big story today. Outside of the sad news that, you know, a fellow person from the media fraternity would have passed tragically today, let us talk about some other stuff that has been in the news. Now, there has been much talk about the Police Service Commission. Much talk about the Police Service Commission and the fact that Mr. Conway and Mr. Slow and the others have come out and said that, you know what, these charges against them are trumped up. Mr. Conway had a press briefing or an interview with Mr. Travis Chase the other day, and he said basically the same thing, that the police force is under undue political pressure. Today, Mr. Paul Slow had a press conference, and some very bombshell revelations came out. He revealed, of course, that the president intervened to get his people promoted, his quote-unquote, his people promoted. And this was from the Police Service Commission chairman, Mr. Paul Slow. Of course, we've been hearing of that these charges brought against Mr. Paul Slow and the others were trumped up to remove them. And as we put the pieces together, this story makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense because now we hear from Mr. Paul Slow that he was basically under pressure from the president to get the president's men put in certain position. So it only begs a reason that it seems as though Mr. Slow and Mr. Conway and the others were in the way of whatever the president and his political friends wanted to do. So we're seeing these revelations. Let me just give you some details into what Mr. Slow said today. And of course, we're awaiting the leader of the opposition because he's going to weigh in on this particular issue. He's going to weigh in on this particular issue before the show is over. But let me give you a bit of details. In the interview, Mr. Slow said he, referring to the president, wanted to know why his people, right, Brutus and Karimbash, were not on the short list. This, of course, is a short list of persons who were up for promotion. And of course, this comes to the death of Mr. Slow and the Police Service Commission responsible for these matters. So, yeah, let me pull it up here for you. I want you to see. This is what we're dealing with in this country. Mr. Slow continued. He said it was a rough conversation, raised voices, very angry. And then the president terminated the conversation. Slow said, he said all of this while he was detailing the conversation that he had with the president on the 23rd of December 2020. Hours after, the Police Service Commission had shortlisted a number of senior officers for the Ghana Police Force promotion. So apparently the president got wind of this and decided to call Paul Slow and ask him, why my people not promoted? Why Mr. Brutus and Karimbash not promoted on this short list? This is what's happening. I want to play you a piece of what Mr. Slow said before we continue unpacking the craziness that played out today. Let me see if I can play this for you.
The chronology here, this PowerPoint is entitled chronology.
Let me know if you're hearing.
So the meeting of the commission took place on the 23rd. The very night of the 23rd of December, I was at home about, I think about 7, 8 o'clock the night. And then there was another conversation between myself and President Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali. Now that conversation did not go very well because he sounded very agitated and irate over the fact that Butas and Karimash were not on the short list. The first thing that occurred to me always is that the president knew who were on the short list because that was supposed to be a confidential document. Early stage in the process, we had decided we were going to meet again on the 30th to continue the process. Now, we subsequently learned through an affidavit in the court from Senior Superintendent Brutus that this confidential document was leaked to him. That is what he claims. It was leaked to him, and this is a signed affidavit. Brutus is claiming that the document was leaked to him by a confidential source at the Police Service Commission. So once that document was leaked to Brutus, then Brutus or someone else, or perhaps the document was leaked to others as well. But it was clear to me that the president had seen or was in receipt of that document. And he wanted to know why his people, or I quote here, his people, Brutus and Karimash, were not on the short list. I went through the same thing of explaining to him about the disciplinary process, and he was very, very upset. He said that, people have these disciplinary process, how long will they be pending? Why are they not completed so that some can be considered for promotion? And it was a rough conversation to describe it as. Raised voice, very angry, and then the conversation was terminated. President terminated the conversation, and that was it. I called the members of the other members of the commission, and I advised them, I informed them of this unpleasant encounter with the president. I had also informed them of the previous encounter or the previous encounters. That is to say, the one that took place on the 16th of September and the one where he called me in respect of the Thomas matter. All of these things were brought to the attention of other members of the commission because that's the way the commission works. It's not a one-man show, right? So I called the members and I told them of this conversation I had with the president on the night of December the 23rd. Next slide, please. Now, and here, follow me here, the very next day, Christmas Eve day, very next day, the Minister of Home Affairs, Mr. Robson-Ben, wrote to the Commissioner of Police. They say acting, but as Mr. Conway pointed out, there is no acting Commissioner of Police, there is no acting Deputy Commissioners, right? So he wrote to the Deputy Commissioner, Mr. Nigel Copy, who is performing the functions of the Commissioner of Police, with an instruction that some named officers' proceedings must be initiated to charge, not to investigate, to charge some named officers for varying breaches. Almost all of the breaches related to incidents that were alleged to have occurred during the election period and during the demonstrations and rescue bobbies following the death of the Henry brothers. For example, I remember well among them, they're claiming that the commander of Police Region 5, Senior Superintendent Cooper, should be charged for dereliction of duty. And it's stated that,
folks, if you let me just stop it here because I want to unpack what Mr. Slow said there and kind of break down the order of events. So the night the night after this short list was leaked to Mr. Brutus, as he said, the president called Mr. Slow and asked why these persons were not on the list, the short list. Then the next day, very next day, right, letters came to charge certain officers. Of course, this, of course, is a clear sign that something was up. So let us unpack this, and to help us unpack this and some other issues. Well, this particular issue I want the leader of the opposition to deal with. Let me welcome to the program the leader of the opposition, Mr. Joseph Harmon. Mr. Harmon, good afternoon. Good afternoon and welcome to the Rush.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Right. So I just want to know and show that the audience, let us know if you're hearing Mr. Harmon clearly. Give us a little comment so that you know if you hear him clearly. Mr. Harmon, I just played part of the press conference there from Mr. Slow, and some, interesting and shocking revelations about the president's conduct and this pressure on the Police Service Commission to include the president's people, so to speak, and those were the words used in the press conference. How would you respond to this?
Well, Randy, I must say that I'm indeed shocked by this revelation. In fact, that's not only the revelation, but by the response of the president to these very shocking revelations.
Mm-hmm.
But let me say that since the 19th of May, that I had put out a statement advising that the charges that were brought by the police against the members of the Police Service Commission was an attempt to tarnish the impeccable reputation and dismantle the professionally constituted Police Service Commission, and to install their cronies, and so that they can promote those officers in the police force that are pliant and that will carry out the instructions that are given by the political directorate. It is damaging the independence of the police force, and as I said on that occasion, that it is an attempt to break down what we call the guardrails of democracy.
Yes.
So what you are trying to do now is the president is now trying to speak directly to the chairman of the Police Service Commission, asking that he promotes this officer and that officer. It is clear from Mr. Slow's press conference that this was a conversation. And from the statements which I have seen emanating from the office of the president, it would appear as if they are trying to say, okay, this was a meeting arranged between the president and the independent commission.
Yeah.
This was no meeting. This is what Slow said.
Yeah.
And so later on, in a few minutes, I will be releasing a full statement on this matter, because this is reprehensible conduct on the part of the president. This conduct in some countries that are democratically run, a president would have sent his resignation by this afternoon.
Yeah.
And this is what we call for. This is what our democracy demands. And we cannot have a sitting president so blatantly violating the rules and the constitution of this country, and still wants to give the impression that this officer, this chairman of the Public Service Commission, who has been very eloquent in what he's saying, he wasn't something, he wasn't heading for work. And what the statement is seeking to say that also lie, and he's trying to cover up something that he is connected to the opposition, and file a whole set of nonsense about him being part of an action which was brought by lawyers in their professional capacity. But he's now trying to link that to the AP and UASC.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that all Guyanese should condemn this behavior. And it is something which we will internationalize and also send to the people in the CARICOM region so they can understand this level of dictatorship to which we have slipped. And we will take certain courses of action with respect to this.
Yeah.
The Guyanese people have taken quite a lot of beating from this regime.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this here is tipping the iceberg. It has gone too far.
Mr. Harmon,
and this is from the office of the president.
mm-hmm.
This is unacceptable.
Mr. Harmon, I want to get your opinion on the fact that the president has not, in this hasty response that he put out there, he's failed to deny the fact that he contacted Mr. Slow. I know you said he tried to frame it as some sort of meeting between the president and this body, this professional body, but he didn't deny that he made contact with Mr. Slow, and there's no denial. And on the day after this short list was put out.
And that's a fact. That is true. And the point is that you couldn't start the logic and the logical reasoning of policy. And so it was like a scramble, a mad scramble to get a denial, which is really not in fact a denial. They try to get something out there that says the presidency falls so line.
Yes.
And so that is all that looks was. That tries to dampen the impact of the revelations made on policy.
Yeah.
But this is not singular. We have seen, in fact, the other officer who was on the police service.
Mr. Conway.
In an interview, Mr. Conway with
Travis Chase.
With Travis Chase, speak to these issues.
Yes.
And anyone looking at this matter with an eye, with a detached view, will recognize that these are professional people. These are professional people. You can't pull wool over their eyes and try to have promoted persons who are not suitable for promotion.
Yes.
And this is why many persons are wondering where these police officers based on their salaries could be carrying these matters from one court to the next court to the next court.
Yeah.
And they know, in fact, I believe the regime knows that this matter should have been thrown out. And I was quite surprised myself when it should have been dealt with on the 24th of May, that the Chief Justice would allow a further time for a 25-page affidavit.
Yeah.
To go and delay this matter any further, taking it into suit. It's a clear-cut case.
Yeah.
In very many cases, I know the court will have ruled that out of order, said you had enough time to file that. Where are you going with that now?
Yeah.
But, strange things are happening in the judiciary now. And so a 25-page affidavit with a bundle of nonsense is allowed to go in and postpone a decision on this matter. So you're getting all sorts of intervention taking place. The Prime Minister writing to the commission asking them to show cause. What cause they have to show?
Yeah. Why they shouldn't be fired?
The President and the Prime Minister them to show cause why they have intervened in this way. Yeah. And right now they have shown no cause whatsoever for trying to intervene in this matter.
Yeah. Yeah. And before I let you go, Mr. Harmon, on this same issue, Mr. Slow also revealed that subsequent to the conversation that he had with the president, the very next day, there were orders to charge a number of officers. And, he's contending that this was initiated to sully the reputation of those officers so that, the case could be made for those persons who were perceived to be the president's men. And this is the kind of interference that we speak about when we talk about a creeping, and I don't think that the dictatorship is creeping anymore. Based on what we see, it is running. So
yes, you're quite right about that, Randy.
Yeah.
You're quite right about that. Because the evidence is clear that after the phone call with Mr. Flo, that certain things started to happen.
Yes.
And it was clear. I think that many persons who would have called, who would have listened to what Paul was been saying, would recognize that they were attempting to damage the credibility of these officers, of these of international reputation.
Mm-hmm.
Paul is well known around the world. Conway is well known for the stuff that he's written about the police and in the police force, and those exceptional pieces of writing he has done and work he has done pro bono, as I understand it, for the force.
Yes.
So it's root, at least this particular police service commission, and try to paint them with a brush that says that they are incompetent, and trying to frame all kinds of bogus charges to remove them from the office.
Yeah. Yeah. Mr. Hammond, we thank you very much for that you release a full statement on this issue. But before I let you go this afternoon, I know that you would have heard the news of the passing of Mr. Mondale Smith, and allow you to offer your condolences on here.
Yes, thank you again for that, Randy. I did in fact issue a statement earlier in the day when I heard the news of the passing of Mondale. I think that the passing represents a significant loss, not only to the media fraternity, but to all of Guyana. He was a fantastic journalist. He had his delivery, his eloquence, the way he handled language, the way he dealt with facts, and he knew that when you heard him speak, that he was not manufacturing things.
Yes.
I had the opportunity of working with him on several matters when he worked as the PR at the Ministry of Education.
Yeah.
And I think he's an exceptional person to work with. I believe Guyana has lost an exceptional soul. And I think it points to the fact which he himself urged people to pay attention to what it is before he passed away. I think he had issued a statement saying that we should pay attention to COVID-19 and the measures which are in place to protect ourselves. So I believe it's a great loss for all of us in Guyana, and I want to extend my condolences to his family, to the media fraternity, and to all his friends and relatives, those who held him near and dear. I just urge that you remain strong at this time, and that you pay attention to the COVID guidelines. It is important that we understand that. And I again repeat my call for all of us to do what has to be done with respect to COVID-19.
Yes.
The measures, that is, of course, wearing your mask, washing your hands regularly, social distancing, and take the vaccine. Once your condition allows it, once you have a situation which your doctor advises that is safe, take the vaccine.
Yeah.
It is what you have. It is what you have, and this is what will protect us from getting, not just contracting the COVID, but dying once we contract it. It will help us from that.
Yeah.
And so I think we should use Mondale's passing as a reminder to all of us that we should be our brother's keeper.
Definitely.
And if, in fact, we do not take the measures that are necessary, but we are not only endangering ourselves, but we are endangering those who are close to us. And we must always pay attention to that.
Yeah.
So again, I just want to offer my condolences to all Guyana, and more importantly to the media fraternity, 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐡 was so recently.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Mr. Harmon. Definitely good words and reminding persons about the COVID vaccine. Do enjoy the rest of the video. Thank you very much for stopping by.
Thank you, Mandel.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Thank you.
Right, that was the leader of the opposition, Mr. Joseph Harmon there, commenting on the issue, the bombshell revelation by the Police Service Commission about the political pressure from the president, and of course offering his condolences there to the family, friends, and the media fraternity on the passing of Mr. Mondale Smith. Folks, let us put our focus again on this same issue. Let us put our focus here. And let us try to come to grips with what exactly is happening in our country. Let us try to come to grips with it. We are seeing, unprecedented interference into organizations and bodies that are supposed to be professional by these political forces. The president called and pressured the man to listen. Why are my people not there? And I want to take you back to the interview with Mr. Conway by Mr. Travis Chase. I'm sorry that we don't have the video. But at the end of the video, he said something very interesting, and I like to listen to these details. The devil is always in the details. The devil is always in the details. Mr. Conway said that, listen, I'm a graduate of the FBI, and there are recordings. I will leave it there. I will leave it there. This is not my words. I'm not saying this. This is what Mr. Conway said in his interview with Mr. Travis Chase. That he's a graduate of the FBI, and there are recordings. So the question needs to be asked, what is on those recordings? Whether or not those recordings will reveal what or will justify or validate the claims made by Mr. Conway and Mr. Slow about the president's intervention. These are the questions that we need to ask. Whether they are recordings, whether they will reveal and give credence to the claims made by Mr. Slow. But time will tell. Time will tell. Time will tell, folks. Folks, as we speak right now, our country is still underwater. Our country is still underwater. And I want to make this my story behind the story today. This, of course, was from the Village Voice over the weekend when we saw unprecedented flood. We woke up to a number of regions, Region 1, Region 3, Region 4, Region 6, Region 9, Region 10. And I may have missed a couple of them, but all over the country we saw unprecedented flooding. Unprecedented flooding. And I want to deal with that right now before we go, because we over the weekend we saw what I perceive to be a media stunt by the president and his team doing late night inspections into pump operators and how the pumps are operating, right? This media stunt, of course, late night, we gotta have some fun with the president. We gotta carry out and Lee walk and see if we could get some pump operators sleeping in Georgetown and some, Region 7, of course, people are reminding me, Region 5 also. So we saw this media stunt by the president, and we also saw precursor to it, that we knew that they were going to come with this foolishness about the city, trying to divert the attention to what is happening in the city and lay the blame on somebody else. We saw them laying that foundation very early when the agriculture minister came out and said that he believes that the city council is sabotaging, and the city council is purposefully doing this to make the government look bad. Well, that is Region 4, that's Georgetown specifically. I wonder if the city council was responsible for the flooding in Region 1. or the mayor was responsible for the flooding region 6 and 7 and 9 and 10 and 2. I wonder if the city council of Georgetown was responsible for all of those. But of course, this is a diversionary tactic that the PPP uses every time. We're going to put up a smoke screen and we're going to make a whole hullabaloo about something and try to divert the attention from the abysmal failure that they are. And the absolute failure on their part to protect the people. And the slothful response, as somebody assessed, well, somebody said on Facebook, and I find it to be absolutely true, that the PPP are very good at assessing the situation, but not very good at doing anything about it. So every minister come out, we are assessing the damage, we are assessing the situation with the flooding in Region 1, we are assessing over here, we are assessing there. They're very good at assessing the situation. And to cover up their total failure on this national flooding, we see them running point with the president running point on a publicity stunt. Right? They call up critic and say, come out and call up a couple of agencies. We're going to go and see if we catch some pump operators sleeping. And we can say that the city, we can say that the mayor and the city council tell them to don't turn on the pump and to fall asleep. Right? So let us talk about the flooding in the city. And to help us discuss that, and I want us to say that that publicity stunt that was pulled by the president and his team was a direct attack on the mayor of Georgetown, 𝐬𝐸𝐻, who has been working tirelessly to ensure that the city, one, gets what it's due so that it can do its job. That's the first thing. You don't need to go far searching for the history on this matter. Mr. 𝐬𝐸𝐻, his worship, he would have been fighting the government to get the little subvention to do the little work in the city. So this is the bad faith politics that the PPP is engaged in now. We're going to stifle the city council. But when the city flood, is the city council sabotaging it? So we're going to try and get Mr. 𝐬𝐸𝐻 now and see if he can come in and comment on this issue. Because I looked at the live last night, the president's publicity stunt, and I want a response because there are a lot of things said, a lot of technical things discussed, and I want the mayor to be able to highlight a number of those. One thing was this idea that the pumps should be running for 24 hours. And, you know, interestingly, I think they know also that is not necessarily possible. But let me not talk about this. Let me invite the mayor of Georgetown, Mr. 𝐬𝐸𝐻, to the conversation. Good afternoon, sir. Sorry.
Good afternoon, Mr. Critchlow, and viewers all. A pleasant good afternoon.
Pleasant good afternoon to you. Welcome to the rush, Mr. Mayor. Let me just stop this here and remove this here. Good. Welcome to the rush, and let me start by saying to you, we know you're dealing with a number of issues in Georgetown specifically. The president last night, in what I call his publicity stunt, basically attacked you and said, listen, you are sabotaging the city of Georgetown. What do you say to that?
I am not administration. The administration has a duty. Mm-hmm. The council put policy in place, and that is the reason why the city engineer and team from the administration and along with myself and other councillors had a press conference today to relate to the public. The city engineer had done his part in terms of stating what actually happened throughout the flood yesterday and last evening. But finding the president to lay blame on the mayor, I wish to remind him that he and the local government minister and the other minister to go in the 2081 and see what is the duty of the mayor. Just turn the pages and see the duties of the mayor. And the mayor continue to represent the city and its people so that we can able to better serve our citizens. So blaming the mayor and city council, and I heard you make mention, and is all the actually all the area from region 1 to 10 is the main city council caused those
Apparently,
flood.
apparently,
And
apparently.
then you're stating that you find our some of our sluice workers sleeping.
Mhm.
Therefore, all other regions in Guyana, the sluice attendant must be asleep or sleep
Mhm.
away, and that is why we actually got so much of water in our country.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Let me talk about the situation in the city and the flooding, because our colleague Christopher Jones, MP Christopher Jones, and Miss Annette Ferguson were at the back of North Ronvelt recently. And myself, I accompanied Mr. Aubrey Norton when we dealt with the displacement of the farmers at the back there with the development. And one thing that they point out that there was a relief canal that goes all the way to Liliendal that was blocked by this development. So now we have the rainy seasons. Areas like North Ronvelt, South Ronvelt, this water can't necessarily run off, right? So let me just play a piece of it, and I'll get your comments on the other side.
The part on the other side, in which the Central Ministry of Selection Housing and Planning Authority blocked the drain to do the work that is happening there. So as a result of the blockage that they did, you have the development and joint services scheme can't get to freely pass to get out to Liliendal because of the blockage that Central Housing and Planning Authority did with the housing development on the left-hand side. Now we're looking at the blackup. You see this water that is running swiftly, and you might say, well, okay, it looks good, the water is running off. But what is happening here, this is a breach. This is a breach of the Liliendal, I know you call it waterway or whatever. So the water is actually running back into the canal, which is supposed to drain joint service scheme. So right beyond these bushes is joint services scheme. And you know, of course, joint services scheme is connected to North Ronvelt and obviously South Ronvelt. So it's like a merry-go-round. The water comes all the way from where we started. It goes back that side.
Right. So Mr. Mayor, let me apologize, because I've been told that I've been calling you Yuvraj Singh for some reason. Mr. Narayan, let me correct myself there. My apologies. I know Yuvraj Singh though, so maybe that's why. But let's talk about what's happening in the city. I know you would have been out there assessing the flood around the city. Give us an update on what is happening and what measures are put in place.
Now, thanks, Crichelo.
Mm-hmm.
The system with the pumps in the city is totally different. Because of the canals, you cannot operate the pumps 24 hours. You have to know how to do it, because if you look at, for example, Sussex Canal, if you look at Cowan Street Canal, and I want to challenge the citizen to go there, you will see the desilt in those canals, and we have to get NDIA and other agency to assist us to remove those debris in this canal. You call it the cuddy mud and so on. And you have to sometimes ease the pump so the water build up and you start again. Same thing with kitty pump. Kitty pump can't run 24 hours. You have to maybe stop it for a 20-25 minutes, then it kicks in again, because the water in the canal has to be built up so that the pump will get enough water to send out, whether to the Atlantic Ocean or to the Demerara River. So that is what actually happened, and no one did not explain that much with the to the president. I don't know. I met with one of the sluice attendant today, and he is so nervous. He is so shaky. The way the president spoke to this guy, the man asked to reach the mayor today, and I met with him because I see they ridiculed these workers, and what he said to me was quite clear. Now you cannot pump was about we was about to he said he was about to lift the door, so he take the pump off to see the level of the water on both sides, because you cannot pump the water and lift the door at the same time. You have to cut the pump off, and then you have to see the level of the water both from the river and the canal that you're draining from, so that you can able to lift the door. You cannot just go and lift a door like that, and you may not know, if you do not close that door, the coca door, on time, you may have to get a machine to go there to help you close it, because it would not close properly. So you have to got some kind of knowledge on these things, dealing with the city level. I don't know why the president attacking the city like that. He attacked us recently about financial statement and all this nonsense. Those things took place during the PVP regime. It is not now we dealing with PVP government. PVP government was in power 23 years, and we was trying to correct their faults within the couple years we had in office. And now they're again in office, and they're doing the same kind of thing. I wish if the president can take the blame for every potholes and everything in every region that happened. Blame the president then. If you want to blame the mayor and city council, we didn't cause rain. We didn't ask rain to come. And this is not the force the city council or the city floods. As long rain actually set up on certain areas in the city floods. And this is not now story. This is decade story, right? But Minister Edil and all these ministers make mention they spend hundreds of millions of dollars in the city. 300 millions. Minister Edil make mention of. Patterson, the former Minister of Infrastructure, 2015 spent 74 million in the city and was able to clear drains and all these primary and secondary canals. They spent 300 million and we can't see a work. I cannot see a work. When I went in Albaiston yesterday, I met with an activist of the PPP. He said to me, her name is Annie Thorne. And he said to me, is the Minister of Public Works and Labor, Joe Hamilton, call her out to start clearing the canals. So I said, how are you doing this? I saw her at Sussex Street Canal, and a gentleman with a pitchfork pulling up some grass on the canal. I have pictures of it. I can share it with you. And when actually the rain will fall, everything will wash down into the canal. And that is the 100 millions they're speaking of. Wow. They don't want us to see. We are not asking for the money of the 300 million. We're asking to be a part of the process, so transparency can happen. We can know exactly what, where, and when these contracted work will commence and when it will end, and we will able to maintain it as well as the level of the city. But nothing is communicated to us. No one consulted with us. But I don't know if these contract just sign, pay out the money, and there is no work. So the government president, the president need to look into these things.
Yeah.
While some ministers' sons just turned 20 years and buying 8 and 9 property on the East Bank. I don't want to call him minister name. His son recently turned 20 and buying 8 to 9 property on the East Bank. These things should be investigated. You know, the president should look at these things. Mayor and city council need money. We need the resources. And we're not asking and begging the government for money. It is a subvention. It's with the laws of this country. The government ought to give the municipality in this country monies to run the city or towns. So we're not begging the president. This is duty. The former president, David Arthur Granger, did it. Why you don't want to work with the city council, Mr. President? The mayor, myself, called out on you several times, and your ministers. Let us get on board on a round table and have discussion to move forward the city. Let us have consultants come in to review the bylaws of the city. No words, but a blame game with local government and central government. That would not solve the issue, the PPP government. That will not solve it. Yeah. It will only, I believe, there's a political campaign still going on with this government, and to say the mayor and councillor sabotage their own people. This city voted for the APA, new AFC. How can we do that to our people, our supporters? Are we crazy? We try our very best to help our people. Look, for example, look, I wrote a letter today to CDC to get cleaning hampers for different families in different constituencies. Look at where it's going, to the PPP base, not for Georgetown. If you had concern with Georgetown, why you didn't come today and start to share some hampers in the city? People get flooded in South, East Roundfield, Front Road, Lane Avenue, Alvystone, Plum Park, Farmers Field, all these areas flooded. Why you not come in and give some help to the city if you concerned about the city, but the political gimmick? And I'm not afraid of any government official. I am not afraid. Right? I will speak out to represent the people. Stop cast blame on mayor and councillors. You are the part and parcel of the problem.
I want to deal with that as we're quickly running out of time. This bad faith politics that we're seeing, where there have been attempts to stifle the city council from August 2nd to now. We've seen the fight that you've had, which was a very public one, with the central government to get what the city ought to be getting. Now that we are seeing flooding in the city, it is sort of ironic that the president comes out of his bed at 10 o'clock in the night to go walk down and see if a pump attendant is sleeping, and of course ignoring the fact that the city was being stifled all the time, and a lot of things are not being done how they're supposed to be done. So it is really strange to think about what is the plan, how you're going to stifle the city of the funds, and then you're going to blame the city because you are looking bad to the people. The entire country is flooded, but you are worried about the pump attendant that's sleeping and saying that the city is sabotaging the government. If you can offer your comment on that as we close this evening, and your words to the people of Georgetown who are on the water still.
Well, I can tell you, Critchlow, I've been out there, and I will continue to represent the people of this Georgetown. And I want to say very crystal clear to the government: don't feel that you'll have a mayor to just sit back and relax, or just want to run because you are making all these allegations. No, I wouldn't do such. I will stand very strong to represent the people of the city, stand with them, by them, and I fear no one but the Almighty. And I will do so without fear or favor, the oath I took to uphold the constitution of this country and the office of the mayor. I want to say that to the residents, let us clean our environment, let us work together to assist each other so that we can able to get through this troubled time.
Yeah.
And I want to say that I still wait for resources or funding from government. And with NDI and all these things, it is our government, the coalition government, who initiative bring these agency on board to assist the mayor and city council.
Yeah.
And it is not something that now or new. It is a coalition government, but this government, the PPP regime, seem to make it a political issue. Everything is politics. Everything is nothing is about the people lives in this country. No, nothing at all with this government.
Yeah. As we
No.
run out of time, Mr. Mayor, I know that Mr. Mondale Smith would have worked closely with the city. I'll offer you a couple of seconds to send your condolences.
Well, it was very shocking to me today to get such a news. Mondale, a very close friend of mine as well. He gave me all support in this office. I will surely miss him. And I'll be very quite honest to you. Myself and Mondale communicate. Actually, every 2 weeks I will call him and ask him, Mondale, how you keeping? How you doing? And he's normally said, Mayor, you're the only one sometimes checking up on me. Crichilo, I want to say it's a shocking news, and I don't know what and where we are heading with this COVID-19. I believe we can take example. A prominent PPP supporters was in our time was a part of COVID, and the ministry and the then Minister of Health worked tirelessly and the task force to give that person all the support. But you find that our citizen, no one cares for our citizen. Look how they're dying out with this COVID-19. I believe more strict rules and regulation need to be implemented, and again call on the government to implement or bring back the 66 curfew in our country. My sincere sympathy to the family and members of Mondale Smith.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. And of course, we're all, sending our prayers to his family. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us this afternoon. It's always a pleasure to have you on. Enjoy your evening.
Thank you, sir.
Great. Thank you. That was the mayor of Georgetown, Mr. 𝐬𝐲 𝐸𝐻𝐶, like I said before. I may be thinking about the cricketer 𝐬𝐲, but that was the mayor of Georgetown, Mr. 𝐬𝐲, talking there about the flooding situation and this, like I said, this publicity stunt by the PPP government, bringing the president to go and look at pumps, knowing fully well that those pumps cannot be running all night. It depends on the level of the water. So, folks, we run out of time this afternoon. I know we've unpacked a number of issues. We hope that we have brought you some clarity on a number of them. But before we go on, and I want to just give a prelude to what we will be looking at tomorrow. This issue with 𝐬𝐲, right? 𝐬𝐲 to terminate more than 300 employees, which management is stating the company is overstaffed and is putting a strain on their budget and their purse. So we're going to talk about this, of course, in the light that we're still pumping billions of dollars into sugar. We're still pumping billions of dollars into a failed sugar corporation, but we're sending home public servants because you're saying we don't have money. We're going to be talking about this issue tomorrow in more detail, because I understand that today was the last day for a number of those 𝐬𝐲 workers. So we want to be able to bring that to you tomorrow in more detail. Stay tuned for that. We'll be definitely highlighting this particular issue. Folks, let's continue to work for national development. Join the Honorable Natasha Singh Lewis right now for Building Bridges. I always about to say crossing bridges, Building Bridges. Her show right here on the APNU FC TV. Join Sherrod Duncan at 8 for In the Ring. And of course, we'll be carrying Mr. Mark Benchcop show. A number of our MPs have started shows on Mr. Benchcop's channel, which is 107 Radio FM. that Facebook page. Mr. Ganesh Maipal is normally on, and of course, I have another MP that is on, and we'll be bringing you updates on their shows also. So you have a packed night. We unpacked a lot. Do enjoy the rest of your evening. Let's continue, as I always say, to work for national development. My name is Randolph Critchlow. Do enjoy the rest of your evening.